So how many of you guys, just going to ask, have mispronounced Jordan St. Cyr's name?
Yeah, if you've seen it written, it's spelled C-Y-R, and so it gets a little confusing.
So please give a big, warm KLOVE welcome to Jordan St. Cyr. We're so glad you're here, and I have to admit, being a guy who's bald,
yes, sir.
Follically challenged, you up the hat game for all of us who just like walk around in ball caps.
Right.
So,
am I on? Check. Oh, yeah.
What started the hat thing for you?
I was an athlete growing up. You know, before I got into music, up until I was about 17, I was playing high-level sports, volleyball, basketball, baseball.
Hockey? You're from Canada.
Hockey, absolutely.
Are all your teeth
Isn't
your
that
own?
a requirement?
All the teeth are still in.
If you live in
Yeah.
Canada, you have to play hockey, right?
Absolutely.
Is it required?
It's required. You want to stay, you got to play hockey.
Right.
And so I was just always a hat guy. And so when I got to Nashville, it was about kind of finding a way to fit in, right? Find your way, you know, with songwriters, and you want to find your way in, but then eventually you got to find your way to stand out. And so the hat, I think, kind of does that for me.
So how many hats do you have?
You know, I don't have a ton. I've got one big one, a couple smaller than this, and then a ton of baseball hats. So maybe 7.
That's
8.
not too embarrassing.
No.
Does your wife get onto you for as many hats as you have?
She can't. She's got so many shoes.
I was going to say.
She has got so many shoes.
I was just saying backstage over there, I refuse to admit how many pairs of shoes I packed just for this trip alone. Anyone else with me? You have way too many. You won't even wear all of them in the 3 days you're here, but you might need them. So your bag is really heavy.
How many of you have like a separate suitcase for your shoes?
Pretty much.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I had to bring 2 suitcases because my only suitcase that I was going to bring would have been overweight because I had so many shoes in there. So I actually packed 2 bags full of stuff just for the shoes. True confession.
You know, both of your songs have been songs that have been so timely for the season that we've been in.
Yeah.
Between pandemic and all the things that we've seen, even just recently with what happened in the news this week in Uvalde, Texas. That idea that God walks us through life's most difficult seasons. He walks us through fires. He comes alongside of us and carries us through being a weary traveler. You've walked your own journey with your daughter, Emery Grace, your youngest, for the last 3.5 years, that I would imagine has been the catalyst for a lot of the songs that you've shared with us.
Absolutely. That's the well that we have been drawing from. God has just revealed his faithfulness in such a deep way in our lives. And so these songs, we're just writing our story. You know, Fires was written back in 2018, you know, before we ever saw this pandemic coming. And so it was God's timing to have that song come out. So 6 months after that song was written, my youngest daughter was born. And we've been walking through 3.5 years of a chronic brain condition. And it's impossible sometimes. We have days, weeks, sometimes months of just finding no rest. And we have to continually go back to the truth that we stand on. Always. We have to lead our heart in that because our emotions will tell us otherwise. And so come to Jesus, come to Jesus.
I think that's so good because I think that we like to pretend that walking through things isn't as difficult as it is as Christians. We like to, you know, put a good face on it and, I'm just trusting Jesus and smile. But to admit that there are days you probably don't even want to get up out of bed because it's so heavy and so overwhelming. And those are the times when you really see God be who God says he is and really carry you.
That's right. We're in a season where we do not have that miracle that we hope for. And a lot of us are in that place. And so, God, what are you teaching us in this moment? And these songs, I think, are that. They're not this mountaintop experience of winning. They actually feel more like losing. But what you find is that while I might not feel the way I hope to feel, God is still victorious in my life. So we are not victims to our circumstance. Rather, we can trust he is working, he is moving when we don't see it, when we don't feel it. If you can lead your heart in that truth, I mean, I will say we are in the fire right now. we were back in the hospital 2 months ago, and all of our kids actually got sick last week. And so when our youngest gets sick, you know, the stress level goes up. And so we're walking through that fire, and it's like, remind your heart, lead it with the truth, stand on it. It's what God has given us, His Spirit, to walk through these hard times.
I know you talked about how these seasons are something that you actually embrace. Do you ever regret saying that? It's kind of like praying for patience, right?
It's not like you're
Absolutely.
happy about it. That's not what that means.
I am not a glutton for punishment by any means. You know, I grew up in a family, a Christian home, where everything was good. We didn't see a lot of death within our inner circle, not a lot of sickness within our inner circle. So my relationship with pain and suffering was like this. And then this little lady comes into our life and flips the script on us, and we have to rethink everything. Our faith crumbles to the ground, and God's like, I needed that to happen because I need to give you a bigger idea of who I am to prepare you for the work that I have planned for you to do.
Well, and I would imagine you found that that's the key right there, that you guys, in what you're walking through, have been able to understand and relate with people who are walking through deep, difficult things in a way that you may not have been able to had you not been through this.
I didn't realize how much of us were going through such hard stuff. And I think our story, these songs, have just given people permission to share their story. We realized that ours was too heavy. We weren't going to get our healing for our souls unless we put it out there. We need to share our testimony. It's the way God made it, because it makes room for community, makes room for relationship. Where I am weak, He is strong. And so He fills those gaps, and it's not easy, but you know what? We've learned too much to go back now. Yeah.
Well, how often are the things that shake us the things that shape us?
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. You know, sometimes in life, you know, it seems like, you know, when it rains, it pours. But when it rains, that's when the roots grow deeper. It just is. And so I would say just, you know, hug the cactus, right? Just hug the cactus. It's painful. It's not easy. It's messy. It's not fun. But God is there. He is in those moments. And when we do that, when we embrace the pain, we're saying, God, I'm willing to be vulnerable with you and allow you to do what you need to do in my life.
How many of you guys have had that experience listening to Jordan's songs, both Fires and Weary Traveler? Right? You know, and I think there's a couple of my favorite verses in the Bible are from 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, because it talks about how the very things that God comforts us in are the things that He then uses so that we can comfort someone else, which I think is why so many of us have identified with your songs, because of the discomfort, the pain that you went through, how God has comforted you and your family, has been something that you've been able to help comfort us with.
Yeah. You know, God, there is a blessing there. There is a gift in the pain, but you're not meant to keep it inside. That is your story. That is your testimony. It's a way that God is going to use to bring people around you, lift you up. So the hardest things in life have been the greatest blessings for us.
So you sung a couple of songs that are really deep, really heavy.
Yeah.
So I think some of us are wondering, okay, so has Jordan got some like happy songs?
Yeah, do you have like Dante Bowe's Joyful coming up? Is that what's coming next?
Gosh. I mean, I've got a song out called Grateful. That,
which is a great song. I love that song.
Yeah, it's something that I struggle with, to be honest, to have a content heart, and so that's why I wrote that, to remind me.
Why do you think you struggle with that?
I think it's because I'm so busy and I get on to the next thing. You know, the gift of ambition that God has given me is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And so it's important to remember that God made me for right now.
Yeah.
He carries the weight of tomorrow and yesterday.
I struggle with that too. I bet a lot of people do, just rushing through life and not stopping and breathing and appreciating, being grateful for the moment that you're in. Yeah.
That's right. But I've got this new song coming out. It's called No Matter What. And this is kind of the third chapter for our story. Fires being the beginning, Weary Traveler being journeying through the mess, and no matter what, kind of being our line we draw in the sands, that when we don't feel it, when we don't see it, when I'm kicking and screaming, I'm going to stand on the truth. God, you are faithful no matter what.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know you got the opportunity to tour with Jeremy Camp. And Jeremy, that was a big moment for you because Jeremy had really, his music had inspired and encouraged you.
Absolutely.
In such a big way.
He's just the quintessential, you hope when you meet him that he is who you believe he is. And he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys. When he's on stage, he's got his Bible out. He's in ministry mode. And so those aspects, I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do with my life.
Did he teach you how to flex?
I was just going to ask, did he make you work out?
Does he like make
Those
you
who
hold the
don't
microphone
know,
so you like can
Jeremy
see your,
Camp is really fit.
His right arm is bigger than both of mine together.
Yeah,
so
I
I
know.
wasn't even...
Because have you noticed when he sings, it's like this. It's like constant flex.
Yeah.
Did
He
teach you
doesn't
that?
even need to flex. It's just there.
That is just a whole different world for me.
Do you know his middle name is Boot?
Come on.
Jeremy Boot Camp?
Oh, wow.
That's good. Come on, that's really good.
Okay.
So
that was bad.
Did he ever like get the entire tour out together and do like workouts together? Because I've heard that.
You know, he maybe tried, but we're a bunch of musicians. Come on.
You burn the midnight oil and want to sleep till noon.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I get it.
You know, I get it. We want to eat healthy and stay in shape, but we got songs to write. You know what I mean?
So, for you and your family, this has been a big year because you've been in quite a season of transition. You just moved from Canada
Yeah.
to make Nashville, Tennessee your home.
That's right.
How hard is that in the middle of all that you're going through, make that transition? Because I would imagine having a daughter like Emery and the things that she struggles with, you find a like solid ground to stand on after 3
Right.
years, and all of a sudden now you're going to uproot your family and move.
Yeah.
And then you have to establish all those connections, that support system again. How tough was that?
You know, we've been dreaming this dream for about 6 years. And then 3 years ago, Emery was born. So we were like, okay, let's stay in Canada. Let's enjoy the free health care. You know what I'm saying? And so we just kind of stayed put. And that dream just never died. You know, again, it was about people, building relationships. And, you know, when you think about all the new things that we're going to have to deal with, you take them one at a time, you're like, we can manage that. You know, new house, new neighborhood, new schools, new health care, you know, new job, all these things. And when you get here, all of a sudden, they're stacked one on top of another. And my goodness. And then you throw on our little one having seizures while I'm in San Antonio, you know, and it's like, this is impossible. God, why are we here? You know, and all you want to do is pack everything up, move home where my parents are, my wife's parents are, our families are. And so, honestly, it's been a day at a time. Just let it unfold. That's so much of what life is. Live in the moment, let it unfold. And you know, we're finding our feet. We're catching our breath. And when God brings something new in your life, it's a stretching sensation. Your heart is growing to birth new dreams. So we're taking it a day at a time. We are loving it. We are finding our way.
Well, we're so glad you're here.
We sure are. We're so grateful for your music. You would not imagine how many calls we get about your songs of people just deeply impacted. So thank you.
You're up for Breakout Single of the Year at the Fan Awards on Sunday night.
Oh my gosh.
Have you written an acceptance speech?
I have not.
Really?
I have not.
Do
You guys.
do y'all think he should practice here in case he wins? I mean, there's a good chance you could win.
You know, I would be grateful to win. I am more than grateful just to be here on this stage with you guys. What an amazing grouping of songs that have helped our world through this season of life.
Yeah.
Can I talk about my favorite song?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Is it your own?
God Turn It Around.
Oh,
Yes.
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 Come on.
John Reddick.
That is my go-to worship song right now.
Yeah.
So, you know what, again, to be in this caliber of artistry, to be in this caliber of people taking on the mantle and sharing their faith in the way they do,
Yeah.
that's why we do what we do.
Well, we love you, man, and we're so glad you're here. We're glad that you're now a Nashville Predators fan.
It's my second favorite team.
Oh!
It's my second.
You live here
And
now.
first
you can't
is
say that.
what?
Winnipeg Jets.
There you go. You
We-
got to stay loyal to
We
Canada.
never win, but that's okay.
So, before we let you go, with the Stanley Cup playoffs right now going on, who is going to win the Stanley Cup this year?
Who's going to win? Or who do I want to win?
No, who's going to win? Who do you believe is going to win? And then tell us who you want
I
to
don't
win.
want to believe it, but I think Tampa's going to win.
Really?
I think Tampa's going to win.
That's not very Canadian-like of you to say that when the Oilers are playing as well.
Well, no,
as they
that's
are.
who I want to win, but I don't think they're going to win. I love the Canadian teams, but I think Tampa Bay is going to win 3 in a row.
Really? Oh.
But I'll be wearing all my Oilers gear for the rest of the playoffs.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan St. Cyr.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it so much. Love you guys.